Hey, it's been so long since I filmed a YouTube video. I'm Pooja. I am currently writing a fantasy book series. I've been doing a 90-day writing challenge to help me focus on writing, but I just got a new job, so it's been a struggle trying to balance both. So I decided to take a break, and now I'm going to go back into writing. I am still trying to figure out weekly how I'm going to fit in the writing schedule. Another thing that I talked about, and if you've ever watched, I created a video called Creating My Personal Curriculum. Another thing that I've done is I've also written two poetry books. One was a Halloween poetry book called The Haunted Wardrobe, and the second one that I just published last year, the very end of last year, was called The Spirits in the Attic, and it's also a winter poetry book. The next thing that I want to publish is a Valentine's Day poetry book. That's what I'm going to be focusing on this weekend. If you've ever lived in the Midwest, or if you're currently living in the Midwest, you know that there's a huge snowstorm that's going to be coming. I don't see anything right now. Like, I don't see any snow, and it's like 9 o'clock in the morning. But eventually, like around 12, it's going to hit pretty hard. And I think in my area, we're going to be experiencing at least like 11 inches of snow and ice. So it's going to be pretty gnarly. And I was thinking, what better time to write and like get things done if I'm going to be snowed in my apartment. I still want to do the 90-day writing challenge, but I felt like these 2 days I could knock out some of the plot of the Valentine's poetry book that I want to launch in the next year. That's what I'm going to be doing, and I hope this is something that you would enjoy. So before I get started, I just because I've been procrastinating on this poetry book, it doesn't mean that I don't think about it. I think about it like probably almost every day, if I'm being honest. There's just like when I'm like driving to work or different circumstances, what people say, I'm always thinking and like listening to other people and jotting things down. So I have two notebooks that I am writing things down. I have this book that I've showed in the past where I write a lot of my plots, like a lot of my books in the past. I use this. And then I also have like a weekly journal that I just write in every single day. And I didn't have that yellow notebook to write in what I was thinking, so I ended up writing a lot of parts of it in this notebook as well. So I'm going to go through it and I'm going to try to go through it without giving away some of the plot. The main plot that I have for this Valentine's poetry book is it's like the first scene is like everyone's in a ballroom and it's like Valentine's Day. Yeah, it's like Valentine's Day. People are in ball gown. People are in ball gowns, and Cupid is there monitoring that ball gown, that like place. Cupid is known for making people fall in love with his bow and arrow. I wanted to make it funny where he's so tired from yesterday that he ends up falling asleep and sleepwalking, and he accidentally starts throwing arrows at 3 different couples. And so you're going through those 3 different couples, and he has to go back and fix everything that's happening within those couples. So I want to make this 14 chapters. I don't know how realistic that's going to be because I want it to be at least 90 pages, which is a lot. And also writing in verse is also kind of crazy to think about. So I'm going to try my best to get it in 14 chapters because Valentine's Day is on the 14th. And in my notebook, I've already jotted down all of the things that I want to happen. I've gotten into chapter 8, but I want to like first start writing down everything that happens or things that I want it to happen before I start actually writing the verse part of it. So I have like some type of guideline to get me started. And I'm just not like, I'm not writing. Yeah, I feel like this, I don't know if I could be a pantser. So I'm going to start with an outline to get me somewhere. In my red notebook, I focus more on the emotion part of it. So I went through each couple and I wanted to have a certain theme for each couple that they had to go through. And one part was someone being in a toxic relationship, one was someone dealing with grief, and then the other one was just like kind of like a high school romance that people like cherish. Something like that, where it's like more happy go lucky. I didn't want everything to be sad. So I wanted to have a good mix of it. I probably will try to level it out, maybe put the happy go lucky in the middle so it's not like so sad people won't like they'll have like some it like won't be all of it won't be sad all at once. I want people to feel like they're fully engaged. So I don't want it to be like I don't want people to tune out because they feel like it's so sad. I also want it to feel like a fairy tale type of book. So I have to touch on like maybe serious topics, but then also make it light. So it's going to be a tricky balance trying to figure out how to do both. But right now, I am just going to first focus on how I want to fill each chapter and like what are the plot points, what are the themes. So that's what I'm going to be focusing on right now. It's only been 10 minutes and I spoke too soon. It's starting to snow. Like, there's only flurries right now, but it is starting to pick up and it's only 9. So, in the weather, it was around like 12 when it was going to start like heavy. So, it's definitely picking up. I'm not worried because I've always lived in snow and like I know that at least like in my area, we have the infrastructure to support this. This is not the coldest we've ever experienced. At least in my life, like this is not the coldest I've experienced. You just stay at home. But yeah, it is definitely picking up. So what I've done within 10 minutes is I was able to write like through the chapters majority. I was able to write like the theme of the chapters for the majority of them, but I'm still stuck and I don't feel like I have enough detail. So I use this book, Save the Cat, and I use this to restructure like some of the plots. I'm not like I've never written romance before, so when I am new to writing different types of genres, I usually use this methodology because it at least gives me something like a structure to think about. Then I have like a direction of where I'm going and I don't want it to feel like I don't know, like I like don't want it to feel like it's an amateur. Like if someone reads this book, they're like, "Oh, yeah, this person is definitely indie published because it's all over the place." I never want that comment. And so that's why I tend to go to like methodologies that I know a lot of people use or a lot of writers use. So I'm going to go through that book and figure out which one is specifically for romance writing and try to go through each specific couple and create a methodology based on Save the Cat methodology. And after, like, also another thing that I did was I got all of the notes that I wrote from my daily journal and I put it into the yellow notebook because I wanted everything to have its own place. When I write, like get ideas, it's like probably like writing on a napkin, in my phone, in my journal, like it's like everywhere, but I just need a center focus of where I have all of the information, but my brain just works in like other ways. So that's what I did. But right now I'm just going to go through Save the Cat methodology and start picking out things that I want to have in the plot and then figure out what type of structure that I want each couple and the story to follow. Okay, I went through the Save the Cat methodology, and what I've noticed is that there was 2 different methodologies they had. The first one was rites of passage. Basically, it's like the Save the Cat methodology has three different acts, and then they have like within those acts they have different themes and guides or points to guide you on like what the characters should be facing with within that act. For different genres and different types of genres, they have specific things that people or the hero of the journey is dealing with. So I was going through the different types of like methodologies that they had. The ones that I felt that applied to this specific book was buddy love and rites of passage. So I found rites of passage, and this one focused on a life problem, which is in Act 1. Then Act 2 is a wrong way that a person solves a problem. And then last act is the acceptance of the hard truth. So I felt like that would be great for the story about grief. And it could be about the one with the toxic relationship. The other one is buddy love, and that one focused on, it's mostly used for romance, and I felt like the middle one where it was more lighthearted, felt like that one would pertain to this one. It's basically showing like an incomplete hero, so the main character, there's something incomplete in their life, whether it's physical, ethical, spiritual, whatever. Then there's a person who comes into their life that completes certain qualities that the hero is lacking. And then the complication is like a misunderstanding between like the personal or ethical viewpoints, physical or emotional challenge, some sort of conflict. And then like throughout, I wrote out, because I kind of forgot what specific methodology for the Save the Cat. I knew I needed the themes of what specific ones for each character point, but then I forgot the acts of what exactly specific things that I needed to include. So I wrote down just a basic idea of what is included in each act and what I need to do. So I'm going to use that as a reference point when I'm starting to redo all of the characters and creating the acts for each character within the story. And as I was writing this, I just realized that I was only thinking of 3 different, the storylines between each couple. But I also didn't realize, there's another storyline. And that's Cupid. Cupid has a storyline. Even though I didn't realize it then, he does, because he accidentally couples these people by accident. And he has to go and fix it. So even though it's not more serious type of storyline, but it's still a storyline nonetheless. So I also need to add him within the storyline. So what I'm going to be doing next is I'm going to be going through each specific couple and character and creating the acts, picking between buddy love or rites of passage, and start creating the storyline for each specific character. I finally got all of the acts done. Well, all of them except for Cupid. I feel it's going to be hard to do Cupid right now because I don't know how everything else is going to end, or I don't know the full details of everyone else's story. I just have an idea of how it's going to go. I'm actually kind of surprised how much I got done within this weekend. It's 4 p.m. And I was able to get through a lot more than what I expected. I'm probably going to call it quits because I've just been spending so much time on this. So I will check back in with you the next day. My next goal is to then sort out all of the 14 chapters and try to weave all of the acts within those chapters and I don't want it to be too structured so when I was looking at the chapters and figuring out what each chapter should focus on, because there's 3 different couples and the structure of the Save the Cat is very similar. I don't know if having a chapter by chapter of weaving each couple in the same scenario would make sense or would make it flow, because you don't want, for example, for Cupid to hit all 3 people and have them all the chapter by chapter by chapter have the same scenario right after each other. I feel that it would be too structured, or I feel like it needs to be like weaved into. I want to have different chapters. I don't want it to focus one story at a time. I want to be able to weave in different chapters simultaneously and have different stories while also being able to follow along. I know it's a very difficult challenge. I don't know if I'll make it work, but that's what my goal is right now. If not, then I can just separate each chapter. But I have to figure out how many chapters each person gets. How am I going to weave everything all together? So that's what I'm going to be doing tomorrow. Today is the next day, and I was honestly surprised it wasn't that bad. Well, at least where I live, it wasn't as bad as I expected. I felt like people were, maybe in other areas, it was pretty bad, but here it was just a lot of snow. And I recently cleaned my car, and the snow went up to close to my knees. And keep in mind that I'm also really short. So it was a lot of snow, but it's just compact snow. So I should be good at least. There's not much snow that's coming in again. It's very small. But I was honestly surprised because I thought we would be like stuck in place. It's not that cold right now. I'm excited that it will officially be over by tomorrow, but I am still locked in for the day. So today I am going to be focusing on how to integrate all of the chapters. So I've created all of the acts, all the methodologies from Save the Cat, and now I'm going to be integrating all of the chapters within all of the characters and like their methodologies to fit in the 14 chapters. And hopefully I can like weave it in together and make it make sense and make it flow clearly. It doesn't feel like it's too structured, and it simultaneously gels with all of the characters all together. So when I was going through, breaking down through the chapters, I just realized that if I want to move forward, I just need to get somewhere. It was too much to think about right off the bat when I haven't actually written anything at this point. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just going to go through act by act, and like based on the Save the Cat method, I'm just going to go and for each chapter, I'm just going to use the same exact act or time that they're going to be at the same time. And I know that because I've printed out books before, there's a certain amount of page requirement that you need in order for the book to have a spine, and it's around 90 pages. So I backtracked because I wanted to have a spine for this specific book. If I wanted it to have 14 chapters and to have 90 pages, it means that each chapter needs to be at least 6 pages. And if I'm going through, because I've written poetry books in the past, I know a lot of people have, like usually the people who read it aren't necessarily poetry readers. I've noticed that a lot of people, if it's longer than like 4 pages, people tune out automatically. So I don't know like necessarily if 6 pages would be enough for people to have like enough like attention span for it. So what I'm thinking of doing is within each chapter, I'm going to have 2 pages for each couple. So then people would be able to have more of a break between each chapter instead of having to go and like reread everything, and it'll be more digestible in that aspect. So maybe the chapter could be like a time span or a time frame, and then the specific you're going to be weaving back through each person within each chapter. And I don't know if I'm going to keep that structure for right now, but right now I feel that it's going to get me somewhere, because if I continue to try to figure out how to weave everything all together and like change the timeline, I'm not going to get started. So like once I have this, I'm now going to go through each specific chapter and figure out what details do I want. Like I'm not going to start writing the poetry part, but I'm just going to write down exactly what I want in each line. And usually that's how I write poetry, is like I don't start with rhyming or start with rhythm or anything like that. I just write what I feel should be in the poem, and then I figure out how to make it rhyme, how to, like, everything else is like on the wayside. I just write what I feel should happen, and like the plot, everything else, and then after I make it rhyme. So right now I'm just going to start writing and just start piecing things together. Let's hope I come up with something and progress more. So I've done a lot. I was able to get through at least the first chapter and be able to just have like a sense of what it should be about. So I've split it into three different groups, or three different couples. The first chapter is just stating the scene, the opening image. Like, Cupid's there, the three couples are there, just introducing what is going on in each thing. And then I'm going to be doing that in each chapter. I'm going to stop at this point, but I feel like I did so much during the weekends that I'm honestly surprised that I got so much done. I just realized, like, if I put my mind to it, I can get a lot of things done. I just can't do it all at once. I have to take sprints. All I need to do is get through chapter 14 and be able to get all of it written down, and then start writing in verse. Start writing it in verse. I'm going to stop here, but let me know if there's any questions you have. Like, if you want me to create, I know this video was a little bit different because I was focusing on poetry. Let me know if you want a follow-up video, like any changes I made for this book or anything like that, because majority of what I'm doing is writing my fantasy book. But I'm going to stop it from here, and I hope to see you in the next video.